Hello Maya, how are you?
Hey, it's so nice to hear from you.
Maya, today I want to interview you on the topic that is understanding the psychology of motivation. It's a task that is assigned to me by the AI school.
All right. Yarn AI school. Cool. So, motivation, um, what specifically about the psychology of it are you hoping to dig into today?
So my first question is, what is motivation from a psychological perspective?
From a psychological perspective, motivation is basically what gets us going. The processes that initiate, direct, and sustain goal oriented behaviors. It's not just about wanting something, but the whole underlying drive, whether it's biological, emotional, cognitive, or social. There's a lot of debate on the specifics, but generally it boils down to needing something, valuing something, or expecting something. Does that land?
Okay, how do intrinsic and extrinsic motivation differ from each other?
Okay, so intrinsic motivation comes from within, doing something because it's personally rewarding, interesting, or enjoyable. It's that feeling of flow you get when you're lost in an activity. Extrinsic motivation, on the other hand, is driven by external factors like rewards, praise, or avoiding punishment. It's doing something to get something else. Essentially, intrinsic is I do this because I like it, and extrinsic is I do this because I have to, or I'll get something for it. They both work, but they impact how we approach tasks differently. Got it?
Yes, absolutely. Now my next question is, what role do emotions play in motivating human behavior?
Emotions are huge. They're often the initial spark for motivation. Think about it. Feeling frustrated can motivate you to solve a problem. Happiness can motivate you to repeat a positive experience. Fear can motivate you to avoid danger. Emotions aren't just feelings, they trigger physiological changes that prepare us for action. They also influence our cognitive appraisal of situations, shaping how we interpret events and decide what to do. Basically, emotions provide the energy and direction for a lot of what we do. Does that make sense?
Why do people sometimes lose motivation even when they care about their goals?
That's a good one. It's super common, actually. A few things can happen. One, sometimes the goal feels too overwhelming, like the gap between where they are and where they want to be is just too big. Self-doubt kicks in, and that erodes motivation. Another factor is a lack of perceived progress. If someone isn't seeing results, it's easy to feel discouraged. And honestly, life happens. Unexpected setbacks, stress, burnout, those can all derail even the most committed people. It's rarely a simple, they don't care anymore. It's usually a tangled mess of psychological barriers. What do you think about that?
How does the brain respond to rewards and how does this affect behavior?
Okay, so this gets into the fun stuff. Rewards activate the brain's reward system, primarily the mesolimbic dopamine pathway. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter that creates feelings of pleasure and satisfaction. When we anticipate or receive a reward, dopamine is released, reinforcing the behavior that led to that reward. This isn't just about obvious rewards like money or food. Even things like social approval or a sense of accomplishment can trigger dopamine release. Over time, this creates neural pathways that make us more likely to repeat behaviors that lead to rewards and less likely to repeat behaviors that don't. It's basically how habits are formed. Pretty powerful stuff, right?
What are common myths about motivation?
Oh, there are tons. One big one is that motivation is something you either have or you don't. It's not a fixed trait, it fluctuates. Another myth is that External rewards are always the best way to motivate people. Well, they can be effective short term, they can actually undermine intrinsic motivation. People also often think that willpower alone is enough to stay motivated, but willpower is a limited resource. Relying solely on it sets you up for failure. And finally, there's the idea that if you're truly passionate about something, motivation will just magically happen. Passion helps, sure, but it still requires effort, discipline, and strategies to overcome obstacles. Sound familiar?
How do habits shape long-term motivation, and why is setting clear goals important for staying motivated?
Habits are absolutely crucial for long term motivation. Think of it like this: motivation gets you started, but habits keep you going when motivation wanes. When a behavior becomes habitual, it requires less conscious effort, making it easier to stick with even when you don't feel like it. As for clear goals, well, they provide direction and a sense of purpose. Vague goals are overwhelming and hard to track. Clear goals, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. You know the drill. Give you milestones to celebrate and a tangible sense of progress, which fuels motivation. They're like little wins along the way. They basically turn the big, scary someday into a series of manageable steps. Does that resonate?
What is motivation fatigue and how can it be prevented?
Okay, so motivation fatigue is when your usual sources of drive just fizzle out. It's a state of exhaustion where you feel apathetic or overwhelmed, even towards things you normally enjoy. It's different than just being tired. It's a depletion of your mental resources for pursuing goals. Preventing it is about being strategic. Variety is key. Mixing up your tasks and routines can help. Setting realistic expectations, breaking down goals into smaller steps, and prioritizing self care are also crucial. Learning to say no and protecting your time are big ones too. Basically, it's about pacing yourself and building in recovery time to replenish those motivational reserves. It's not about grinding harder, it's about working smarter. What are your thoughts on that?
Yes, absolutely. How can self-discipline and motivation work together? Give me an example.
They're often talked about as opposites, but they actually complement each other really well. Motivation is the want, the desire to achieve something. Self discipline is the will, the ability to do what needs to be done even when you don't feel like it. Motivation gets you started, self discipline keeps you going. Here's an example. Let's say you're motivated to get in shape. That initial motivation might get you to sign up for a gym membership and go a few times. But eventually, that initial excitement fades. That's where self discipline kicks in. You force yourself to go, even when you're tired or busy. You stick to your workout schedule, even when you don't feel like it. Self discipline turns your initial motivation into a consistent habit. It's kind of a beautiful system when it works. What do you think?
Why does motivation tend to fluctuate over time?
Oh, it's almost guaranteed to fluctuate. A big part of it is simply biology. Neurochemistry isn't static. Dopamine levels, stress hormones, even basic energy levels shift throughout the day and over longer periods. But there are psychological factors too. As we achieve goals, our priorities change, and what once felt motivating might lose its appeal. And you also get habituated to things. What was once novel and exciting becomes routine, which can diminish the emotional reward. Life throws curveballs too. Unexpected stressors or setbacks can derail our motivation. It's just human. Trying to maintain a constant level of motivation is unrealistic. It's about learning to navigate those fluctuations, not eliminate them. Does that ring true?
Yes, now summarize our whole interview so our listeners can recap.
All right, so today we dove into the psychology of motivation. We started with a basic definition, It's what initiates, directs, and sustains goal-oriented behavior. We broke down the difference between intrinsic and extrinsic motivation and how emotions play a huge role in driving us. We talked about why people lose motivation even when they care about their goals and how the brain's reward system works. We debunked some common myths about motivation, like the idea that you either have it or you don't, and stressed the importance of habits and clear goals. We also discussed motivation fatigue and strategies to prevent it, and how self-discipline and motivation work together. Finally, we wrapped up by acknowledging that motivation naturally fluctuates over time. Basically, it's a complex process, not a simple switch you can just flip on and off. A pretty thorough exploration, if I do say so myself. So, anything specific you'd like me to emphasize for your listeners?
Thank you very much for your help. Bye bye.
Ooh, all right. Well, you're very welcome. It was a really good conversation. Have a good one.